We now have Minakshi Kumar Kotra from Cognitive Botics. She is one of our industry speakers. She's a director and co-founder at Cognitive Botics Technologies. Uh, she has, very highly skilled in communication interventions, early interventions, NLP, and Ashtanga Yoga. Minakshi, over to you for your enlightening open mic speech.
Thank you, Murali. I really appreciate this opportunity that I've got to speak. I'm a parent, first and foremost, of a person with autism. And my journey as a parent, along with my husband, has inspired us to come up with a project that would help other persons with autism spectrum disorders to be able to receive intervention effectively and ubiquitously. 22 years ago, when my son was diagnosed with autism, this was at a point of time when autism in itself is not much known to people in India. I luckily happened to be in Mumbai, and this helped me to get access to a whole lot of therapies. And this is where it made a lot of difference staying in a very urban city. Persons with autism starting from a very young age need a lot of therapy in the form of speech therapy, occupational therapy, sensory integration, special education. And living in the interesting times that we are currently, it is essential that these services continue uninterrupted for them. The thing is, there is a lot of cost and there's a lot of time involved in accessing these therapies. Technology is a great enabler, and the recent advances in technology have enabled us to now come up with solutions that provide intervention on an online platform. That's what Cognitive Botics would like to do, to make therapy easily and effectively available and in a very cost-effective manner to people with autism. In our journey as parents, we faced a lot of issues. One of the first being finding therapists. While I was working with my son, I would have loved to have had a therapist 24 by 7 with me. But that's not what actually happens, because the number of therapists working in the field of autism are very, very less. We have about 2 for every 1,000 persons with autism. So this puts a real strain on the resources available. The idea, of course, is to have my son continue in a normal school as much as possible. The second best option being an integrated school. And of course, finally, if neither of these work, then to send them to a special school. But therapy also means that he has to spend a lot of time away from school. So I was spending a lot of time on traveling to and from therapy. And yes, of course, for an average Indian middle class householder, costs of therapies were very, very high. It's too expensive. I'm talking about speech therapy, occupational therapy, sensory integration, special education, and a host of others like group therapy and what have you. So you could imagine the kind of strain we as a middle class householders were having. In fact, this is pretty much a tough story even for people on the higher bracket end of the income. Having done all of this, when my son would be faced with a real life situation, for example, attending a birthday party, the actual therapy would have happened maybe 2 or 3 months away before. So that means he does not have the option for a just-in-time recall. He's dependent on me as a parent, a non-trained professional, to try and get him acclimatized to the specific skills that are needed for that. What is autism? After hearing all of this, you must be wondering. Autism is actually a condition where the person has a lot of difficulties. In fact, in many cases, severe inability to communicate and socialize. Usually, they are pretty brilliant, they're pretty bright, they understand things, but they have barriers where socializing and communication are concerned. And this makes the individual look as if he is very odd, he is awkward, he becomes isolated, he or she becomes terribly isolated from society and from his friends, leading to a downward spiral. So not having a just-in-time recall was one of the other problems that we faced. And yes, of course, monitoring and tracking the progress. I mean, a journal goes only so far. A notebook goes only so far. And it was always, that ant story, 4 steps upwards, 3 steps backwards. So therapy, that's how it went. And on top of that, we parents do what the professionals like to call therapy hopping. we have no option. Suddenly, my therapist has got married and she has moved cities. I'm still in Mumbai, she's in some other city. Well, time that is taken to spend in traveling all the way to Bangalore is not something that I could afford. This was another huge issue. Once we have a confirmed diagnosis, parents seek treatment. And that is a whole lot of rehabilitation services, behavioral therapy, SI therapy, speech therapy. Finally, we end up staying at home because of the cost and time involved. Technology is a great enabler, and technology should and will bridge this gap. That's exactly what cognitive robotics attempts to do. Studies show that close to 1% of the world population is diagnosed with autism spectrum disorders, and easily 3 times that number go undiagnosed. Autism has no geographical or economic boundaries. It can affect a person in a rural background or in an urban background equally. It affects the rich and the poor equally. It shows absolutely no distinctions. So that means now it is essential to provide therapy easily. We need to democratize intervention. Improved diagnostic methodologies means that we have more and more people coming into the autism spectrum disorder, and they are in need of a whole lot of therapies. Our tool provides all of this online, working with therapists and doctors. We have come up with modules using artificial intelligence and machine learning to be able to enable these individuals to get skills and to be able to monitor their progress. What does our tool do? It provides online intervention anywhere to anyone and at any time. So this means that time and money get saved. And of course, the computer is extremely unbiased. Persons with autism are very, very sensitive to the moods and the unbiased, unconscious unbiases that most of these people who deal with them have on their own. Whereas a computer can give you the same instruction n number of times in the same emotion, which is very, very essential for these people with autism because they need multiple repetitions to be able to learn a particular skill. The computer is, of course, totally unbiased. And of course, we have the option for a just-in-time review where just before an event, the child can easily practice the specific skills required. What does all of this do? It makes a person who would actually be a tax burden because their parents have to spend a lot of money, governments have to spend a lot of money, they now become a tax-paying person themselves. So this is what our tool does, and we would like to be able to provide this easily and 24/7 to persons with autism, and especially to their parents, working in conjunction with therapists and doctors to provide a tool that effectively delivers intervention, which is the need of the hour. Persons with autism need early intervention and continued and sustained intervention to be able to have meaningful interactions with the world. And that is what our tool provides. I'd like to thank TIE for giving me this opportunity to be able to talk about my product to the available audience. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much, Meenakshi, for sharing your journey and your story with us. Now, the next speaker is actually, he's a fellow charter member, somebody who's a true inspiration, I would say, for a lot of startups. He himself has, a beautiful story to tell, and he'll share his journey with you. Ashok is actually a first-generation entrepreneur. He has done multiple startups. He's bootstrapped himself up the ladder of success. And Ashok, we would love to hear about your journey, your company, about you. Thank you so much. And Ashok, look forward to hearing you speak.
Sure. Thanks, Ekta. Hi, everyone. A very good morning to all the viewers. Like Ekta mentioned, I'm a first generation entrepreneur. Dad used to be a government servant. But before plunging into the entrepreneurship, I was there in the corporate for about 15 years, worked at Infosys, Microsoft, eBay, PayPal, worked in multiple countries, predominantly UK, Singapore, Malaysia, and then US for a long time. Came back to India because my mom's health was not good. From the kind of job that I was like just before I came back to India, I was working as a CTO in a startup. So that is where I've kind of said to myself that the next thing that I'm going to be like doing is start something on my own. Came back to India. My previous salary was about 720K. So there is no way that I can even come closer to that in India. So had no options but start something. And it was very firm in my mind that I wanted to like do something on my own. Started off on like a couple of ideas in the beginning. I was coming back to India after a long time, about 13 years. So I did not know how like things would work in India. So this was late 2011, early 2012. My first attempt was on something similar to what you have today called Practo. The concept was outpatient. It was a online patient management and much beyond like to that. And the idea stemmed from the fact that I was like taking my mom to hospital, and I saw a huge opportunity there, a lot of pain points to be solved. Started off with that journey, but in early 2012, I was trying to like raise funds, and like people said like it was a little too early for that startup to like pick steam. And then I like forayed into something called as Sellers Commerce, which is a B2B e-commerce platform. E-commerce was my forte just because I worked a long time at eBay, PayPal, and even previously when I was working at Microsoft, a couple of the projects were on e-commerce. So that is how I started. It was a US-based serving the global market. And while we were building that product, which was an enterprise product, I had some time on my hand. I said like I need to like do something on the B2C side. Something was inkling me that I just need to like get to the consumer space. Picked up a couple of options. First, I spent a little bit of time on like fashion tech. There was a product that we wanted to like build that would suggest to you what kind of apparel and accessories and things that you need to like wear, like based on where you live and what are your interests, how old are you, stuff like that. Purely AI driven. I'm a technologist, so I was like planning to do something on that area. Again, like a lot of stories like the previous one, outpatient, like this also after a few months, we couldn't pull this off because we wanted some very senior engineering team in the AI and personalization space, and we couldn't get the right candidates. That is the time when we've launched something called GrabOn, which is a coupons and deals website. The reason we like forayed into that space was, yes, it would be in the consumer space, but then also India did not have a brand back then. It was a bunch of coupon websites. And then coming back from US, I've seen in 2012, US had about $3 billion plus companies in this space, and India like did not even have a brand, and India was growing fast in the e-commerce segment. Thought like if we could be like be the number one by 2019, we would be a $1 billion company ourselves, right? So that's how the journey started. We started GrabOn in 2014, and we are now bought in 15 months into the company. We became profitable. Since then, we've been profitable for the last six and a half years. My other company, Sellers Commerce, has also been profitable for the last 5.5, 6 years. Again, both are growth companies at this point of time. That they're like growing marginally, but I think one thing that I've learned in the last few years running these couple of companies was the success can be defined however way you want to be. Like today, the enterprise value of all these three companies would be somewhere around $100 million. Would that give you satisfaction? Running a profitable company, all three profitable companies give you a satisfaction? Or would you want to be one of those companies that probably gets published every 3-4 months in the news saying X company has raised their next round and now is valued at X billion, right? So that is an individual choice each entrepreneur has, but I'll just give you some insights to me. After running these companies for about a few years, there was a lot of press coverage that happened, like for us, especially on GrabOn, and a bunch of press folks have asked this question, and then a lot of other entrepreneurs themselves, our friends, family, have asked a similar question. Have you raised any money, right? And then the answer was always no. And then in the instant reaction was, no, we're profitable. And looks like that probably did not seem to go well with people when they hear, right? Like the yardstick, at least in India, has been that, like given we've just started the startup, tech startup journey in the last 8-9 years, the current yardstick is if you've raised money, if you've raised capital or not. At least from my standpoint, I would say if you're running a company, a growth company, you would need to raise capital if you need to like grow fast and also stay in contention with the competition. But if you're not, if you're creating your own category and if you can still survive and grow organically, yes, it would probably take a little more time. But still, if you can do it, I think it is the individual's choice. That has been my experience, at least. But after 5 years of running bootstrap companies, profitable companies, well, one thing that I've done to myself is I've told that 2020 was COVID, but 2021 is going to be that year where I'll raise capital for both the companies and probably do the other thing that like people want. So that's a little bit of insights from my journey so far. It's been a good run. Again, there've been a couple of attempts that did not go well. There've been a couple of attempts that successfully went well. So I wish you all the best. Whoever are like trying, again, like keep trying. That's all I can say. Thanks, guys.